National Assembly, the Speaker of the Senate, honorable members of Parliament, ministers and officials here present, ambassadors, guests, and ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed a great honor for me and my delegation, made up of government ministers and officials, as well as business people from the Republic of South Africa, to be in your beautiful country, Algeria, on an official state visit on the invitation of His Excellency, President Tebboune. But it is a particular special honor to have been invited to address the Parliament of the People's Democratic Republic of Algeria, as I hereby do. My delegation and I have been received with great warmth and kindness in Algeria, a country with which we have deep and warm fraternal relations. Much as the distance between Cape Town and Algiers is some 8,000 kilometers, it feels like we have come home. The beauty and the splendor that one sees here in Algiers is as spectacular as the captivating beauty of Cape Town in South Africa. But we could, however, say that Algiers is much more strategically placed and perhaps even more beautiful than Cape Town. It is the gateway to the African continent from the north. So you as Algerians have a very beautiful country, maybe slightly more beautiful than South Africa. Our two countries are very similar in many ways. We were both colonized by foreign powers. Our people suffered from oppression as well as dispossession from colonizing powers. Our people waged a struggle against the colonizers. We are also similar in that despite the many challenges we faced in our history, we were able to win our freedom and our independence. Today, we are independent and free nations involved in the task of improving the lives of our people and developing our countries. You won your freedom and independence 62 years ago. We won our freedom 30 years ago. So in many ways, as Algerians, you are older and better experienced than us. So we have a lot to learn from you. Our visit to Algeria is aimed at deepening the warm and fraternal relations between our two countries, but we are also here to once again extend our deep gratitude for the support that Algeria provided to us during our struggle against apartheid. So we thank you from the bottom of our hearts as South Africans. Algeria's war for independence greatly inspired our liberation struggle in South Africa. In 1962, in his first speech as the leader of a free Algeria, President Ahmed Ben Bella declared that Algeria had a duty to support anti-colonial struggles across Africa. On another occasion, President Ben Bella said, "We have no right to think of eating better when people fall in Angola, in Mozambique, in South Africa. But we have a ransom to pay. We must accept to die together so that African unity does not become a vain word." Those are very, very powerful words. The message contained in those words is the one that distinguishes you as Algerians, as people and as a nation that has been prepared to sacrifice for the freedom of others. And so we thank you again. Algeria indeed made good on this promise to the people of Africa and to the people of South Africa. We recall that Algeria gave refuge and military training to our freedom fighters. We recall that in the early 60s, the father of our democracy, Nelson Mandela, visited military bases of the Algerian National Liberation Front as the ANC was setting up its own armed wing, the People's Army Umkhonto weSizwe. In 1963, the African National Congress, the party that I lead, became one of the first national liberation movements to set up its international bureau here in Algiers. Under the leadership of President Ben Bella, Algeria lobbied against apartheid on the world stage and for the racist regime of South Africa to be isolated. This great wave of human solidarity in which our brothers and sisters in Algeria took part contributed to the downfall and the defeat of apartheid and to the achievement of our democracy. And we can say, today we are free because you contributed to our freedom. And once again, thank you. When President Mandela was released from prison in 1990, Algeria was one of the first countries he visited. We remember the famous words he spoke on his arrival here in Algeria. He said, "The Algerian army made me a man." We remember this history as a constant reminder of the bravery and sacrifices of those who came before us. We who have inherited the torch of freedom have a responsibility to ensure that it continues to burn brightly. We must wield the torch of freedom to banish forever the darkness of oppression and injustice. And we must ensure that this torch illuminates the path of African progress, of African unity for generations yet to come. Algeria's contribution to South Africa's liberation is engraved in history. We owe the noble people of Algeria a great debt. As South Africa, we are committed to deepening our fraternal ties with the People's Democratic Republic of Algeria. Through the Binational Commission that we set up and we attended even today for the 7th time, we aspire to strengthen our trade, investment, and people-to-people relations for mutual benefit of Algeria and South Africa. Yesterday, business people from both countries also held their business forum, a business forum that is going to be utilized to advance the economic ties between our two countries. It was greatly encouraging to see the interest by South African and Algerian business people in terms of expanding their ties. There are promising signs that bilateral trade and investment between our two countries is growing and can grow to higher levels. We seek greater cooperation in areas such as oil and gas, green hydrogen, agriculture, aviation, renewable energy, and other sectors. Sectors that have to do with infrastructure. We seek to use the abundance of our mineral resources to benefit our people, so that those mineral resources are not used to advance the interests of those countries only that used to oppress us and colonize us. Those mineral resources should be beneficiated here on the African continent so that we can sell finished products from Africa to various parts of the world. And we believe that Algeria and South Africa can embark on this exciting journey of working together. To share our knowledge and expertise, South Africa is prepared to work with Algeria, to benefit from each other's strengths and capabilities. We are determined to create more favorable business and investment conditions in South Africa and Algeria to enable our respective companies to flourish and to progress and to create jobs and to create and generate growth in our economies. We are committed to sustaining the momentum of the African Continental Free Trade Area as part of realizing African Union's Agenda 2063. The geopolitical situation in the world is going through challenging times with conflicts in various parts of the world, including on our own continent. As nations, we know too well the pain of having our countries colonized and our people oppressed. South Africa and Algeria stand firm in our support for the Palestinian people's quest for self-determination. Israel's barbaric war on the people of Gaza must end, and we demand that it should end now. As you know, South Africa took the step to lodge a legal case against the State of Israel at the International Court of Justice, arguing that Israel is committing acts of genocide against the people of Gaza. The killing of women, children, and non-combatants, the bombardment of homes, schools, and hospitals, and the denial of humanitarian aid is a stain on the conscience of the world. We cannot turn a blind eye to this type of injustice. We have a responsibility to stop this genocide. It is this that motivated South Africa, a country that is thousands of kilometers away from this conflict area. We did so because we were taught by Nelson Mandela that our freedom Nelson Mandela taught us that our freedom as South Africans would not be complete until the Palestinians attain their own freedom and self-determination. So as we took the action at the International Court of Justice, many called it a baseless case. Many said what we were doing did not amount to anything. It was even nonsensical. But we were determined that we should stand on the side of the Palestinians at a time of great need. We argue that Israel must be held accountable for what it is doing in Gaza. Algeria and South Africa need to stand firm in our commitment to the right of the people of Western Sahara also for self-determination. Honorable speakers and honorable members, we applaud Algeria for its unwavering support for the struggle of the people of Western Sahara to determine their own future. We must remind the international community of its responsibility, yes, to the people of Western Sahara. International law must be upheld. The values of the United Nations Charter must also be respected, and we need to build a new world order founded on true justice, fairness, and inclusivity. South Africa reiterates its call for the reform of the United Nations Security Council to make it more representative and accountable. We applaud the positions that have been taken by Algeria as it has been participating in the United Nations Security Council as a non-permanent member. We thank you for the positions that you have been adopting. As South Africa and Algeria, we must stand together in our call for the transformation of the systems of global governance and finance. They need to serve the interests of all countries and all peoples. We must lend our full support to vulnerable and marginalized people everywhere. We need to stand up for the innocent civilians who find themselves engulfed in war and conflict. As an international community, and indeed as Africans, we need to do everything within our means and power to achieve a peaceful and lasting resolution of conflicts. We must unite as Africans to accelerate the pace of social and economic development as we strive to attain the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations and our own continent's Agenda 2063, which is our continent's blueprint to achieve inclusive and sustainable social and economic development. One of the ways to advance our common goals will be through the deepening of collaboration between the South African and Algerian parliaments. It will be when the two parliaments are able to collaborate as they pass laws and policies that will advance the interests of our respective peoples. We believe that we have much to learn from each other. There is much that we have in common. We have common histories, common interests, common values, and a shared vision for continental unity and cooperation. We are two countries that continue to espouse democratic values. South Africa held its 7th elections in May of this year. You held your democratic elections in September. That in itself confirms our commitment to the principles and values of democracy and the respect for the will of the people. We in South Africa formed a government of national unity following our elections, where 10 political parties have found a very practical and unique way of working together in the interests of the people of South Africa as a whole, with a view of ensuring that we foster economic growth that will address the challenges of poverty and unemployment in our country. Algeria and South Africa are on opposite ends of the African continent, yet we are brought together by a shared struggle and objective of developing our peoples. Let us continue to work together to build our countries and the Africa of which we all dream about. South Africa has assumed the presidency of the G20. We will seek through the G20 process to advance the interests of Africa and the global South. We want Algeria to join other nations by attending the summit in 2025 as we advance the interests of our people collectively. I informed President Tebboune that I'm inviting him to participate in the G20 next year so that we can continue working together. Through these various interactions, we will build the future that our people want and our people deserve. We are here as a delegation to affirm that South Africa is determined to enhance warm and fraternal relations with Algeria. The people of South Africa and Algeria are one as Africans because our common history of struggle and development aspirations unites us and binds us together. And this is a relationship that cannot and will not be broken because it has a very deep and strong history and a great future. So I'm here to say, let us move forward together. Let us develop together. Let us grow together, leaving no country behind and leaving no one behind. We are honored to be your guests, and we are also honored to be your friends. We would like to invite you all We therefore would like to invite you all to come to your other home. Your other home is South Africa. And we would like you to do that because your life is not complete until you come to your other home, South Africa. So this is an open invitation for you to come and see the other beautiful country on the African continent. Perhaps not as beautiful as Algeria, but beautiful enough for you to come and see for yourself. With those words, I'd like to thank you for the honor of allowing me to address your parliament and to thank you for what Algeria has done. And thank you very much for giving me this gown. I think